Hi, Jane. What are we testing today?
Well, Joe, have you heard about the latest educational trends? That's our testing assignment for today.
I didn't know you could test teaching trends.
You have to test them rigorously before implementing them as learning tools or entire new ways to learn. Today, we're testing two trends: flipped classrooms and games and gamification.
Flipped? Does that mean I should limber up?
No. A flipped classroom is a trend that, in theory, allows instructors to become more interactive with their students. Students access lectures or what used to be instructor led teaching at home and come to class ready to do exercises that we usually refer to as homework.
Oh, well, after that we get to play games, isn't that what you said?
Well, yes, in a way. A lot of educators, both in classrooms and online, are using games to teach, or at least adding aspects of games to their teaching, which is called gamification. These educators think this trend allows for learners to stay in their zone for proximal learning, that place in your brain where you're able to take on new information at a regulated speed. They also argue that games provide quick feedback and allow learners to go at their own pace in a context that can even mock the real-world situation they might apply the lesson to.
Oh, okay. I'm all ready to test. Let me at 'em.
Well, I don't think so. First, we have to decide how a trend can be evaluated.
Let's throw 'em at some students and see what happens.
We could try that, but first let's do some analysis. We will be looking at these trends to see if they meet the criteria of David Merrill's first principles for learning.
David Merrill? What's so great about him?
He's an instructional effectiveness consultant with a PhD. He's written numerous well-respected books and articles about instructional design and is very respected worldwide in the field of instructional technology.
How did he come up with this first principles idea?
A lot of research. Essentially, he looked back on learning methods that have produced favorable results throughout history and figured out what they have in common. The successful methods all followed these principles. The unsuccessful did not.
Okay, I'm ready. How do we get started?
While we read about these trends, we will want to keep 5 buzz phrases in mind. 1. Engage in real-world problems. 2. Activate previous knowledge. 3. Demonstrate knowledge. 4. Apply knowledge. And 5. Integrate knowledge. These are the first principles broken down into their simplest forms, and we will want to determine if our test trends do all of these things.
What if one is missing?
That's kind of a gray area. Sometimes a trend might have the capacity to be successful using all of these principles, but the success depends in a large way on the instructor or designer's ability to incorporate all of them. For example, in a flipped classroom situation, if the instructor does not engage the students in thinking further about the work they did outside of the classroom, but simply reviews the material, knowledge might not be demonstrated, applied, or integrated. With a lesson taught using a game, if the lesson does not begin or end with engaging students to draw parallels between lessons in the game and the subject matter, a real-world connection may not be made.
So you're saying there's no substitute for good planning?
Now you've got it. Many trends have a lot of potential, but thinking critically about how to use them will never go out of style.
You know, I think you're missing one last issue to consider.
What do you mean?
I mean, even if a trend fits with these first principles that you mentioned, what if the students in a class don't have computers at home or other resources they need? Or what if they don't feel motivated by a game but get frustrated by having to grasp additional concepts associated with gameplay, aside from the topic that they're studying?
Wow, that's a great point, Joe. I guess the teacher of the class would have to assess the resources available and the type of learners in a class before giving these trends a try.
Right. So even if the trend fits with the first principles, it doesn't mean it will be successful in every classroom or every corporate training class across the board. Sounds like we have a lot to consider while we are testing. We better get started. To the testing station!